friends, right now, this is a moment that I am so fucking stoked to be having right here. Here I am with Steve Shubin. And when we first started to know each other, I was hanging out on your shoulders and we were walking through some fruit orchards and you were telling me stories about little badass ninja turtle heroes before there were even Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I was.
Little characters by the name of Iggy a Diggy. And
we had some great stories, but then you were only about 30 pounds and you're easier to carry.
We still do that every once in a while. I hop on your shoulders, we walk through fruit orchards, we talk about stuff. But, so we've grown up, I've grown up and you've been, a second father to me my whole life.
Right.
And, really provided this incredible perspective of, this differing world where you came from, really interesting. And now here at the end, just within the last month, two really important parts of our worlds just coincided in a really kind of beautiful and awesome way when you went down to Peru and took the chance and took the courageous leap to go and do the ayahuasca and Wachuma journey with Don Howard. So it's been this crazy kind of journey where we've started off and gone our ways and had our relationship and now have crossed over in this kind of really cool way. And it's awesome to be sitting here with you, but I want everybody here to know the full story of the amazing kind of life and journey that you live, which, started much different than, even our times and what happens then, and journey through your police work and the SWAT team. So, take us through kind of, your life as it started and before even meeting me.
All right. Well, my life, as I look at it and think back, it's been really interesting. I grew up in the blue collar days where corporal punishment, it wasn't an issue. It's what was given to you when you were out of line. Even if you're at school, the principal would paddle your butt.
And if you don't know what corporal punishment means, it means when someone's smacking your ass.
Yeah.
All right? Because we might not even know what that means.
Exactly. and no parent ever went back into the principal to find out why he touched their kid. They were usually beating you all the way back to school. So those were the days where, when you fucked up, you were given to, I've been to my friend's house and messed up, and their parents would spank you.
Can you imagine that now? That could never happen now.
No, not at all. They'd be put in jail.
Yeah, imagine someone's parents beating your kid. Oh yeah, they whipped me with a belt.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No, when I was a kid, I grew up in a Hispanic area in East LA, and I was over my buddy's house across the street, and I took one extra burrito, and I felt that his mother's hand on my ass really hard. She almost dropped me. This is a tough woman. And believe me, I put that burrito back up there right away. But it was a good time. It was a good time to grow up as a kid. Times were different than now. The problems kids have now. I don't know how parents deal with this crap, but my life was good. My mom, my dad, were they incredible parents? Nah, they weren't. My mom had 8 kids of her own from, I think, 3 different marriages. Then when she met Shubin, Harry Shubin, he already had 6 kids. So there was like 14 kids in one house.
It's a litter.
Oh yeah. And when you put 2 families together, you're going to fight. That's where I learned how to fight, my own brothers and sisters, And we used to laugh because the person that got up last, not only did they not get breakfast, they didn't get underwear. Because, there was only it seemed like there was 12 pairs of underwear in this family of 14 kids. So I learned how to get up really early. That's why I was a chubby little kid and I always had underwear on. They weren't great underwear, but they were on.
Yeah.
So yeah, life was good. And I was born in Compton, California, and life was good in Southern California. But most of the kids in the neighborhood I was in were all a bunch of poor kids. We didn't have anything. All of us, we invented skateboards with 2x4s and taking the old metal skates and cutting them in half and nailing them onto the board. And if you wanted to play guns, which was popular then, it wasn't like this politically incorrect thing. You cut them out of wood, you drew a little trigger on them, and you chase each other, and you yelled, bang, bang, I got you. Totally different times, but it's, life was good. Getting to high school, my parents weren't athletes, so by the time I got to high school, I'd never played football, and I don't think I really watched it.
You were busy. You were busy out working. I mean,
Yeah.
some of your stories from when you were 8, 9 years old, you were making your own money. You were making your way. You know, just kind of almost on your own.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, you know, it was a safe environment. At least it seemed like it was for me. And you know, when I was 6 years old, I was sweeping hair at the barber shop and stocking shelves at the liquor store. Little dirty foot, you know, chubby little kid. I was doing everything I could. I was raking leaves and see, back then when you did favors, when you did jobs for people like raking their leaves or cutting their lawns, they paid you in Coke bottles, soda bottles, because there was a redemption value and they didn't want to deal with it. And what I loved is doing jobs for the big 7-Up bottles because they were 5 cents. The smaller ones were 3 cents, and those really sucked, you know. So yeah, you worked for soda bottles, so you took them down, you redeemed them, and since I had so many brothers that would take my money if I didn't hide it very well, I would go straight down to Tasty Freeze, which we loved as a kid, and I would eat what I earned that day, and I'd go home broke but full, you know. So that's the life we lived as kids. But they were great times, you know. If you're running down to the park to play, there were all kinds of fruit trees hanging over fences, and you could eat along the way, and life was different than it is now.
Right.
By the time I got to high school, my parents didn't ever play any sports. They were of no. Plus, they had so damn many kids. I mean, I don't know if they cared. There's just so many of them. You're just trying to, like, kids are like juggling. And when a ball's falling, you're trying to lift it back up, you know. So I got to high school, and since I was a big kid, I think when I got to my freshman year, I was 6'2", 215, and based on...
After as a freshman.
Yeah, as a freshman.
And they said, you're playing football, son.
Yeah, they said, you're playing football, and you have to play on the varsity team. And I'm like, yeah, right on, you know. I think I'm a tough guy, right? And so I remember the day I went showed up at the locker room, got my physical, and then my mom, who was a real dominant big broad, she took me down to practice because it was before school had actually started. And so she takes me over to the gym, and she had been talking to the coach on the phone. So she's determined to take me in the gym. And this is my first day. And so she goes walking into the locker room with me. All the football players in the varsity team are standing around putting on the jock straps and shoulder pads and you name it. And here comes my mom, right? Leading me. I'm like the little bitch walking behind my mom, right? So some guy yells out, "Hey, lady, get the hell out of here," something like that. And my mom turns around. She goes, "All right, don't worry, Sonny. You haven't got anything I've never seen before." And I shrunk. I mean, I was like, oh, my God. So by the
kids don't want to even get dropped off at the movies.
My mom wouldn't even let me. My mom wouldn't drop me off. No, she had to walk in, right? Which took me about a month to recover from, by the way. So they give me my pads. I didn't know how to put jock straps on. I didn't know where pads went. I finally got them on. Ran out to practice.
You were still sharing underwear with your brothers.
Yeah,
you don't know what a jock strap is.
I was
what
like,
the
I
hell
have
is
underwear. And I,
this
jock
is missing,
strap.
This underwear is missing the ass.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with it.
I was used to underwear with holes in it, but not completely gone in the ass. So I get my stuff on. I run out to the practice field. And I run up to the coach, and I don't know what offense and defense is. I've never really even watched football. I was just big. And so the coach says to me, "Son, what position do you play?" And I just looked to see, and they were broken up into their different groups. I looked to see who was having the easiest practice. So now all the linebackers were talking with the linebacker coach. So I pointed over there. I said, "Right over here, coach. I'm right here." So he sends me over to the linebackers, and they used me for a blocking dummy all practice. And when I went home that night, I had to sleep on the floor because my tailbone was broken. I mean, they just beat me and beat me and beat me while I was trying to. And so when I got home, I said to my mom, "You have got to let me quit. I can't do this game. This is terrible." She wouldn't let me quit because she had spent $16 on my physical. She says, "You give me $16 and you can quit." Didn't have $16, right? That was a lot of money then. So I was stuck in football. And so I did fine that year. I went from there and I wrestled. And I was actually better at wrestling, but I was the heavyweight. And wrestling for me was much harder as a sport, you know. But that's where I did my best, and I did really well through high school and stuff. But what I learned from all that is how to be part of a team, which is an incredible thing to learn, and how to fight when you got no fight left in you, and what it takes to conquer your own. I wouldn't call it cowardice, but when fatigue makes a coward out of anybody, I don't care what you're saying, and not the ugly side of cowardice, it makes us all give in. It makes us just say, what the hell, what am I doing?
Well, the pain of defeat and the pain of the blows that are raining down and you're getting pinned seems less than just the effort that required. So it makes you trade something you don't want, that's detrimental, for something that makes you feel a little more comfortable.
Right, and quitting doesn't seem so bad when you're feeling all that, right? It seems like, no, this is the thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't sell that to my mom, so I had to stay, and she wouldn't let me out of football.
Sure.
And as it turned out, it was good for me to stay in a sport, and then I even went out for track. I tried out for baseball, but I kept hitting the first baseman when I'd run around, and you're not supposed to run in the base. Yeah. And I was so used to hitting people, it just didn't seem right that a guy could throw a little ball and you would be out. I mean, he should at least have to pay something, right? So I hit him all the time, and I got thrown off the team after like 1 week.
Fair enough. That wasn't meant for you.
Yeah,
anyway.
Like baseball's a great sport. I wasn't cut out for it. I just can't imagine standing around scratching your eggs and waiting for somebody to hit something so you could chase it. It wasn't my sport. It's a great
People
sport.
had a lot of time back at a certain point in time.
Yeah, so sports were good. Were good for me in high school. I don't know what I would have done without them. It was a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so valuable as a microcosm for life. Mm-hmm. But then that carried you all the way into college as well.
Like, yeah. What after that? It was a big deal then to go. It was during Vietnam and all that. I decided to go into the Air Force because I didn't want to be drafted because the draft was on, and I was a fairly smart guy, so I tested high enough to get into the Air Force. Not that you're dumb to go into anything less, but I wanted to go into a certain area, which is really only just military police, which I don't know how smart you have to be for that. So anyway, I went into the Air Force 2 weeks after I got out of high school, and I was gone. Never had flown on an airplane or anything. Never left Southern California. So I did that. I went to, I was given orders to go to Saigon, but then I got picked up out of, a general saw me, and they had teams over in the football teams over in Germany. So he saw me and changed my orders and sent me to Germany, so I didn't have to go to.
See, that's $16 might have saved your fucking life.
Exactly, because I had a lot of friends that unfortunately got hurt and killed and stuff over there, and that's one thing I didn't want to do. Although I believe in our country, I wasn't excited about going there, even though I was on my way. The military, I went to Germany for a couple of years. I got to play football both years, and it was probably junior college level football. It wasn't full college level. It was a good time, and it taught me a lot. The military taught me a lot. Oftentimes I think that everybody should go into the military for 2 years,
like the Israelis,
right out of high school, like the Israelis do. I think discipline and learning how to be you got to be broken down sometimes to figure out where the hell you are, and the military is good doing that. So
if only the military was a little bit more conscious in what they actually did with you, that would make a lot of sense. It's like subjecting yourself. Yeah, maybe the things you get out of it are good, but you're being used as a pawn in a fucking crazy game.
Yeah, it's harder than hell to see. They truly believe you're government issued property, and you don't belong to yourself. And I never got along very well with that concept. So I wasn't the best soldier. I couldn't wait to get out. Since I was playing football in Germany, UCLA on a big recruiting tour, there was a line coach there called Coach Long. He got me out of the military about 6 months early to go play football, give me a scholarship at UCLA. But they wanted me to go to junior college, which I did. But then I picked up a scholarship to Nevada, Reno. Mm-hmm. But by then, one of my foolish mistakes in life was getting married at 19 years old. And then becoming a father at 21, although that was great. My son, Stephen, who you know very well, I was 21 when he was born. So I stopped college at the end of my junior year and went to the police, just went to an academy and got in the police department so I could start making some money.
And that's when, so when I was younger, the stories of your police days would just have me and anybody present, all the kids, just fucking enraptured. Because this wasn't like traffic tickets, police work. You made it eventually into the SWAT team. Yeah. And I mean, those were different times and different kind of code of rules as far as
it was a different time. Police work was, and still to this day, I think it's a great career. It was never a dull day. I never wanted a day off. And even when I got paid, I was like, I couldn't believe I was getting paid for having so much fun. I've been in hundreds of fights, but I can tell you, I never felt good after a fight.
Yeah.
When you have to knock somebody unconscious or choke them out, or kill them. I mean, I've never enjoyed any part of that because I'm a pretty compassionate person, but it's part of what you do. The most interesting thing about that was learning how to control your adrenaline. When things happen in a split second, or you drive right in the middle of a robbery, your adrenaline will take off on you and it'll make your legs shake. And it's hard to run when your legs are shaking. Mm-hmm. But it's a physiological thing that you have to learn how to deal with so it doesn't mess up your ability to do your job.
Yeah, that adrenaline factor is such a crazy factor, because I remember I've only been in that one really major street fight, mm-hmm. and with all the alcohol I've consumed, I've never blacked out where I couldn't remember anything. It's just not the way my brain works, right? But for that fight, I have like 2 brief memories. It's not because I got hit in the head. It's because my adrenaline spiked so fucking high that I don't even remember what happened. I ended up on my feet looking around the street saying, where did they go?
Yeah.
And like, still to this day, I don't understand how I don't remember. I remember like snippets, like one guy threw a kick at me and I was like, what the fuck? So I kicked him back.
Yeah.
And like, but that's it. Like, you know, I was standing up like, what the hell?
Yeah. And you know, had that have been videoed and you saw it today,
yeah,
you would say, oh my God, I had no fucking idea the fight happened like that.
No, absolutely not. The valet would try to tell me stuff like, oh man, that was awesome. I was like, was it?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember shit.
I experienced that a lot in police work, you know. In my mind, I did scenarios in my mind day in, day out. That's all I did on my way to and from work. And while I was on work, you're thinking, you know, if I walked in that store and this guy's doing this, here's what I'm going to do. Surprisingly enough, when shit hits the fan, you'll do what your mind has learned to do. Then after the dust settles, you're going like, oh, Jesus Christ, I was a real star in that one. You had no idea what happened.
Yeah.
Because what happens too with adrenaline, we get so far removed from our biology, from our ability to be it's like the primitive people that we really truly are. We don't use our senses, our sight, our smell, our taste. You know, you don't become aware because we're so civilized and domesticated. So when you get into this fight and your biology takes over, your domesticated side is going, holy shit, what did I just do? And so that's an interesting part about competition, learning how to corral that, learning how to gain control of it, let it out when you need to let it out, and then you got to go home and be civil. You know, I would be on the SWAT team, and I'd go home after chasing bad guys, and our SWAT team was actually a major crime task force as well. Your job was to go to all in-progress felonies. That's all you did all night long. You carried all of your SWAT team stuff in the trunk in case there was a barricaded person. But other than that, you just went from one hot call to the next. And it was great because you'd get there and you would, you know, you'd stop the crime, you'd tie everybody up, get them on the ground. And then the regular troops would come in, you'd give them the investigation, you'd jump in your car and you'd go off to the next thing.
Handle the paperwork, boys.
Exactly. Exactly. It was like, how can life be better than this? I mean, honestly, it was just an amazing time.
Yeah.
But, you know, 7 years into it, and I was on the SWAT team for most of that time, I'm a really compassionate person, you know, and I'm a big guy. So you end up using your body as this impenetrable looking shield of don't fuck with me. And you have to learn you have to look mean. When people look at you, like, oh my God, stay away from that guy. Craziest thing, I was always the biggest guy. And if somebody was going to fight the cops, guess who they went after? Me. I would show up like 15 minutes after shit hit the fan. And I'm the big guy that steps out and everybody they would assault me. I'm like, fuck, I just showed up. Why are they getting me, you know? But, you know, I guess if you're going to get your ass whipped and go to jail, you want to get it the hard way, you know? I could never figure out what that happened. It was a good time.
Like moths to a flame.
It was a great profession.
Yeah. You know, so you're someone that's, you know, you believe in what you've experienced.
Right.
And that's always been your kind of modality is has this affected me? What do I know? I know what I've sensed. I know what I've gone through. But there has been some experiences that you've had. I remember one story you had told me in police work that involved this kind of, you know, something that's not a non-traditional sensory explanation. Like I remember you were telling me one time you should have gone down this alley to chase somebody, but you had this weird gut instinct that you shouldn't go down the alley. I don't know if I'm telling the story right. And it turned out there was an ambush that was going to be there, and you probably would have got killed there.
Yeah, I learned, I don't know why I paid attention to what I used to think was my fear. I thought it was just me being afraid when it was really my natural instincts telling me not to do something. And so I was chasing a couple guys down an alley, and I knew right away, I mean, I got this tingling sensation all over my head and my back, and my hair stood up. And it was this sudden cold sweat that just hit me in an instant. And I had to back off and pull out of and I got away from the alley. And then we called in a bunch of guys. We and once we got into it and barricaded this and sealed off the alley and went into it, they had set up in 3 different places to shoot me. And I'm like, holy shit. And everybody's saying like, dude, they had you cornered and they were going to get you. And I'm walking around like I'm the hero, trying to look like I'm cool. The whole time I'm thinking, holy shit, they almost got me. And it's a scary situation because, the interesting thing about being a cop, they see a cop in uniform and you think this cop thinks like cops do and all this stuff. It's just a guy wearing a uniform with a gun who has the same level of fear that we all do. You learn how to control a little bit more, but honestly, you can be on a scene with 8 cops and it's crazy or fighting or shooting or whatever. You got just 8 guys that don't know, that want to go home to their family, and they're all going to say they're badasses and they got it going on. Oh yeah, this is cool, no problem. I didn't even spill my coffee on this one, because we used to have this thing. It was if you went into pursuit and chased somebody, it was like only rookies spilled their coffee or threw it out the window. You were a star if you could chase somebody with a cup of coffee and get out and arrest them and never spill a drink, and then when they're on the ground handcuffed, you keep drinking your coffee. Now that was a hero, right? Craziness, but that was that's what people aspired to be, the big chaser that could keep his coffee in his hand. So, but it was paying attention to your senses has carried me through to this day.
So that there's not really a good explanation for why you stopped. It's not like you smelled somebody or you saw somebody or you heard somebody, but there was some other kind of field of perception, and I think, kind of the point that I'm making is that even though you had no belief system, you've just kind of, if something came up that you saw, you would trust it,
Yeah, I learned, since I didn't have a lot of guidance, parental guidance, and I had to kind of develop my own belief system. And what I learned to do is listen to myself when I didn't know why. When I was so consumed with, oh my God, this is wrong, I shouldn't be doing this, I should get out of here, I learned to listen to that because there was not a lot of logic at times. Like if you're chasing some guy and you can see him in front of you running, why do you stop? Why did you circle around and go down the other side? So I learned to pay attention to that. And oftentimes I don't know why, because I didn't get ambushed. But I did a couple times get ambushed by being too aggressive. It's like you're always going to get the bad guy, even if you have to issue a warrant for him. So I learned you chase them and you keep the public as safe as possible. When you get so locked into, you got to get that guy that you don't understand what's going on, or you don't pay attention to your senses, that's when you get in trouble.
Yeah. So then at some point, fast forward to about, 6 weeks ago, I come into the living room and I'm just kind of telling the story about my experiences down in the jungle doing the Wachuma. And out of the blue, you say, we got to go. We got to go.
Yeah.
What about it at that moment? Because I'd been talking about this, seemingly crazy stuff for a while then, but there's something there that happened at that moment where you're like, fuck it, I'm in.
Yeah. I've done well in life because I've just worked my ass off, and but there's certain things I watch, and certain people I watch, and I know you've been on this mad tear to figure shit out in life, and so I'm like, I'm going to let Aubrey carry that torch for a while. When he nails the good stuff and he finds out where the good things are, then I'll go.
That's very wise.
It's like you're
very
the scout
wise.
that we send out in front, to make sure there's what our battles are.
You can totally skip over Iboga.
Exactly.
And combo the frog medicine.
You can skip I'm not drinking anybody's piss. I'm not doing any of that kind of no gunpowder. No, I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah, good. That's a wise decision. Yeah.
So when you came in the house and you were talking about your experience, I'm going like, we're going to that. Kathy looked at me, your mom, she looks at me, she goes like, are you on crack? It's you. And she's like, sign something. I don't believe you're doing this. Because I don't believe in many things, right? But I know you had done, I could tell in the passion you had for the story, I could tell you had landed on something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's like the scout went out and found out some truth. I don't need to scout this thing out. I get it, right? Yeah. And really, I've gotten to a stage with Kathy, my wife, your mother, who incidentally is probably the finest person I've ever known.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So I got to a point where you want to know more in life. You want to. It's one thing to be. Look, I've been broke. I've had great careers like in police work and stuff, and I've done really well. But you always want to be a better person. I don't care if you have no money or a lot of money. You want to. the objective in my life is to be a better person every single year.
Yeah.
You know, the year I retire and quit growing as a person, it's probably the year I'm going to die. But I have no intentions of stopping growing, right?
Sure.
So when the opportunity to go came up, and Kathy's been going to so many of these different things with that are a lot of great people, a lot of, you know, not just psychics, but spiritual people that really understand, you know, things at a much higher level. I pay close attention to that, and I've witnessed some things in these people that with my own eyes, and I'm going like, okay, that isn't traditional, and people don't believe that, but I just watched that, and that was real, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm always on the sidelines, and I'm the kind of guy where I'm going to put myself in the game. I don't wait for the coach to call me. When I see my opportunity, I'm going, right?
Yeah.
And this one came up when you had told me all about it. I said, okay, we're going to that. And I said, and we're going to do the back-to-back. We're going to do ayahuasca and Wachuma 16 days because I'm not going back. They got me once. If it doesn't work, I'm never going back there, so let's do this.
Give it the full try.
Yeah. So we set that up, and we did that last month. Yeah.
So you get down there, you get down to the jungle. It's hot. There's bugs. It's not exactly your ideal situation to begin with.
No, you know me. I've gotten spoiled, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I have a lot, so I get to do a lot. But I'm really very clear on who I am. I'm just me. That's all I am. I'm nobody special, right? So we go down there, and now I was supposed to go down right away with Kathy, but something happened in my company. I had to handle some really important changes in the company, so I couldn't leave with Kathy. And so now the whole you're supposed to follow a diet, a regimen when you go down there, and really prepare your body, prepare your mind. And they have a schedule when you arrive, you've done all this protocol and you're ready. Well, since I couldn't go with Kathy and I called that off, she was down there on a Sunday. It started Monday. Wednesday, she calls me on the phone. Actually, Thursday, and I'm at Fogo de Chao, the big Brazilian meat fest place, right? And I'm packing it down. I'm on the phone. And she says, Steve, you have got to get down here. You have got to get down here. Please come down here. I said, is it that good? She goes, no, it's not fun, but you've got to come down here. This is work. This is work.
Yeah.
But you have got to get here. And my wife's very, she talked me into it. She basically bribed me into it. So I'm like, all right. I'll go down. I'll make some quick arrangements. And I did. I got off the phone, arranged some flights and stuff like that. For the next morning, I was on the jet headed for Peru. Arrived there that night, checked into a hotel. The following morning, I'm on another small jet going to Iquitos, Peru, which is, at best, a really shitty place. It's like this war-torn, it looked like Saigon way back when, right?
Yeah.
And it was an ugly place. Someone told me they referred to us as carne fresca, like we were fresh meat. Because you step out as a tourist and you're going to get plundered, man. This place is crawling.
Yeah.
So we go through all that. I'm late. There's 15 people. I'm number 16 at this. So that I get on this little narrow, the boat is about as wide as my ass. And unfortunately I have a wide ass. So you get on the boat and they're really long. So you get on the Amazon and you're tooling down there, and I'm just thinking like, what in the hell have I get myself into, right? They go down these canals, and it was shocking how well this guy knew all these canals. There's like no street signs. You got to know what the hell you're doing.
Dipping between this.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah. So it's getting on in the evening, about 4 o'clock, and the boat gets there, and I go running up the stairs and onto this place. And for the listeners, this is like the Amazon goes up and down, and it's water level. Everything is built up on stilts. The walkways, all the connections, everything is elevated. And none of the stairs are cut the same height. You can go up a 5-inch stair, and the next one 15 inches, and then one's 20 inches, and then one's 2.
Depending on the size of the wood they have.
No, just whatever fit is what they built it with, right? So I get there, go running up to the meeting, and before every ayahuasca meeting, one of the interesting things that I found out, there's a lot of tradition and ceremony in this. A lot of preparation goes into it, and it's critically important, as I came to understand. So I go running up to the circle, and they were all talking about the experiences that they were hoping to get to. Whatever their intentions were that evening, they got their opportunity to speak about it. They passed this talking stick. So when I get there, I hadn't seen Kathy for about 5 days, and so I sit down next to her. It's the only open seat. They had waited for me, and so I'm in this group, and then they pass the stick to me. Don Howard says, okay, Steve, you're not getting away with just being silent. The stick's now yours. And I just said, hey, I'm the rookie. I don't want to interfere with anybody's deal. I'm just here to have, my intentions are is to completely let go, to surrender. Ayahuasca is going to take me wherever it's going to take me. And that was about all I said. And so then everybody kind of retires to their sleeping
Now, did you
quarters.
really, that's the right thing to say, right? Mm-hmm. But is that, I mean, did you really come to that? Because that's not something that's easy for you already, is just to surrender, you know?
No, and see, I've come to this point in the past, few months in my life before this. I'm like, I want to grow. Yeah. I don't want to be a control freak. I don't want to be heavy. There was a time in my life when that served me well, but I've gotten to a point in life where it doesn't serve me well anymore. It actually hinders my own growth. It hinders my children's growth. And I've always had this thing with, there's a saying, maybe not many people have heard it, but there's a saying that a man's not a man until his father dies. That's total horseshit. But it is what people believe. Why can't my sons be men in my eyes? And so I had a real issue with understanding why I would make things the way they were. Mm-hmm. So when I went down there, I knew I was truly surrendering. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. I wasn't blocking a thing. And that was
it's really the perfect time for you to come, and there's an old wisdom that you come when the medicine calls you. I mean, for you to be in that state of mind while you're there is perfect. And it's taken a large part of a lifetime to get to that state of mind. And many people never get there,
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had a good life, but I've been around the block so many times. Sometimes I think I own it, I've done things great. I've done things wrong, but my wisdom comes typically from doing things wrong, but being committed to learning how to do things right. So I grow and oftentimes not the way I want to. And one of my commitments going to this is figure out what my wrong is, because I'm 61 years old. Do I want to be 91? Yes, I do. How am I going to get there? A lot of that is learning how to live a better life between your ears. Mm-hmm. And so when I was ready, I am ready to do this deal, So then the cup gets passed around to you later that night. The interesting thing is, you retire to your area. It's very ceremonial, which I found out is critical to doing these things. So we get in this big round room, which I recall it's like the Maloka, this ceremonial room. And you're standing around in like a horseshoe. There were 16 of us. I'm number 16 in this thing. And so there's candles lit. There's this great ceremonial table. There's tapestries, and there's this, there's just a lot of great things on the table, and everybody's smoking these big Mapacho, yeah. Mapacho, the big black, and so I don't smoke, but I'm thinking like, I can get into this. You throw me one of those babies, I'll let it up, And so the ceremony was great. It starts at 8:00, and the first person to be called up for the ayahuasca, and this is just a bowl, like the size of, a cereal bowl. And there's a lot of ceremony. You step up to the front of this, which is kind of like an altar, and you stand there. You put your hands on the table, and you're meditating. Basically, you're thinking hard on what you want to get to, and this. So then I'm
getting nauseous already.
Don Howard,
okay.
Don Howard's got his little things. He's shaking away. It's kind of
rattles. And
he's got the rattles and feathers, and which I honestly came to understand is a critical part of this.
Sure.
So then you drink the stuff, and it is nasty.
Yeah,
nasty, really.
Fire mud.
I drank some nasty stuff in my life. This shit was nasty, right?
Yeah.
But I got it down. You put the cup back down, then you retire to your seat, right? So I'm number 16. Everybody now has had their ayahuasca, but the whole process takes about 5 minutes from the time he calls you up to when you sit back down. So obviously 16 times 5. So by the time I get mine, the first person is ready to blow up, right? What I didn't really understand is everybody vomits, right? Yeah. And you can have diarrhea too. It's, and you purge, right?
As you
which I'll get to. Yeah, I will get to. So I'm sitting there, and it's all the candles are starting to burn out, right? And so the first person that took theirs was this girl. All of a sudden, she just and she yacked, and like an impressive purge, right? And everybody's given this huge Jethro bowl to puke in, And about 6 or 7 times, she just yelled into this bowl. And I was going, man, that was fucking wicked. And then the next guy went, he sounded like a lion, like was after somebody. Right? He went, yeah. And I was like, holy shit, it was kind of scary, Yeah. And so I'm thinking and I'm getting kind of nervous. It's getting to my time, And already from drinking, I'm feeling pretty nauseous. You feel kind of, pretty unsettled. But again, you're trying to focus on your intention and stuff like that. And my mind's thinking, God, are you sure you should be here drinking this shit? So you have to refocus and all that. So finally, everybody has vomited but me. And out of respect for everybody, it's really a silent time. Nobody is, being vocal or anything. And so this is now 11 o'clock. We started at 8. And I'm sitting there impatient, like going, oh man, this is like, come on, Steve. Don't be a pussy. You're supposed to puke, And so I'm waiting and waiting. No puke. Nothing's coming. But all of a sudden I feel my stomach go, I'm going, oh no. I have to get to the bathroom in a hurry, right? Because you don't want to vomit and have diarrhea at the same time. That's ugly.
Do you have anything going on else in your mind?
Yeah.
Any visions or any?
I was starting to see snakes. The room was moving a little bit. I was seeing things. Everything I would think of was like in this 3-dimensional, and it was really animated. A lot of characters involved and stuff like that. And I was starting to see things, and I was just letting my mind roll. And I was interested in watching this, but I've got to go to the bathroom. So I get up, and I'm a little, I'm walking as like I'm pretty drunk. But I get to my room, which is fairly close. Now these rooms, no air conditioning, no fan, a very tiny commode. I mean, it's like a kid's toilet, and my big ass is like covers the whole thing, and fat chance getting your dick in the toilet at the same time. That ain't happening, right?
Yeah, choose one
I feel
or the
like
other.
I'm in an elementary school.
One or the other. You pick brown or yellow, and
Right.
you got to stick with it.
Exactly. So and there's no hot water, by the way, for shower. That's out of the question.
No.
You recall that. So anyway, I get to the bathroom in time, do my business. I am really happy that didn't happen in the room, right? So I get back in there, I sit down. Now it's about 11:30, and I'm really feeling pretty nauseous, and then then there's some crying starts on the other side of the room. So I mean, some serious, deep sobbing.
Soul
just
sobbing.
ripping down crying. And I'm going, fuck, that's really crazy. I don't know what's happening over there, but that's some ugly shit.
Yeah.
But there was 3 girls sitting together, so I figured one of them was having some childhood or whatever issues is going on. So anyway, about 11:30, and I was so tired of sitting in a chair, I kind of laid down. And then I just blew. I mean, I had the bowl there, and I'm just like, I was like yelling into the bowl, So then you're trying to spit this nastiness out of your throat, and you wipe your face and stuff like that. And so finally, I'm completely done. And I sit back up in the chair.
A moment of peace.
Oh, really. I'm no longer the one that everybody's waiting for. I'm in the group, right? So all of a sudden, after I purge, the ayahuasca really started getting me. So I'm going like, oh my God, this is crazy. So things were like, all of my thoughts were really, really super animated. When I saw my family, they were extremely fancily dressed. I mean, hair done up. They're walking down streets that were made of marble. Pillars were all gilded gold. And I mean, it was amazing. And because I was having thoughts of my family, but everything was decorated more than even Walt Disney could afford to do it. It was amazing. And I was just kind of, I don't, I smoked hash when I was in the military, but I don't do any kind of hallucinogens, never have done any of that stuff, So I'm just paying attention to this stuff, feeling pretty nauseous, and all of a sudden here goes my stomach again. Yeah, and if I can, I'm going to backtrack for a quick second, add this. When I was a kid, I didn't know it until after this all happened. When I was a kid, one of my nightmares that I had frequently was I was always at school carrying my books down the hallway with all the kids, and I was in my dirty underwear. Or I had no underwear on. Or sometimes I was on the bus in my jock strap, sweaty, dirty, going home, and all the girls were laughing at me. I just had this thing about being in my underwear. It was my nightmare. And even to this day, I've never farted in front of my wife. I just don't, and I've been with her for 32 years. I just don't do that, right? And when I go to the bathroom, I go off by myself. I don't get all public about things, And so anyway, so that's kind of me, fecally, right? So I'm a little twisted with that, shut off with that. And so now I'm sitting there and I'm really feeling the ayahuasca get me, And I'm thinking like, oh, fuck, man, this is crazy. It wasn't scary. It was just getting really involved, And so here goes my stomach again. It goes, it's like a creaking door opens slowly. I'm going like, oh my God. And so what I didn't know is there's a thing where when you have to go to your room and you need help, you're supposed to say, baño.
Yeah.
And there are people that help you. They come over with a little light, they get you behind the elbow, and they help you get to your room, because at this stage, you're pretty screwed up for
drunk.
walking, right?
Yeah.
You're drunk, really drunk. So I didn't know you're supposed to say baño. I wasn't there for that part of the preparation. So I just knew I needed to go. So I stood up, and I know I got to get out of that room, and it's pitch black. But I can kind of remember how to get to my room. But I remember there was this big pillar in front of me. When I started to move my legs, they didn't work. They did not work. I went to move my leg, and my left arm went. Honestly, nothing. My brain was detached, and I fell, and I grabbed this pillar, and I got big, strong arms, so there's no way I was going to hit the ground. And so then I grab my pant legs and I pull my legs up under me and say, okay, I got it. Now, meanwhile, I got about 1,000 pounds of pressure on my ass keeping this flood back, right? Mm-hmm. And so I know I got to keep going.
So the man who spent his life largely in control of everything has now lost control of his legs.
And let me tell you, for the next hour, I can't imagine I could possibly have less control. I had no control. I finally get myself balanced. I let go and I start to take a step. What I didn't know until the next day, I actually fell backwards. And one of the shamans that was there reached up and caught me in the back, put two hands up.
Probably Don Robert's son.
Yeah, his son. He catches me, and I thought I was walking. I wasn't. I was falling. So he puts me back up, and I get to the door. And I mean, I am really bad. I get outside of the door, and everything has a rail. These are these big pillar log rails. And I couldn't move my legs, so I'm grabbing the rail. And I'm going down this. Now, on a good walk without being screwed up, I'm about 20 seconds max, maybe 30 from my room on a normal walk. Well, I'm holding on to the railing like I'm doing like a tug of war. I have the rail and I'm pulling myself along because my legs didn't work. Honestly, they didn't. It wasn't like you look down. I'd look down at my legs and say, okay, left leg move. It didn't. My elbow would move. I was completely screwed up. So what happened is now I'm 20 minutes into trying to get to my room. I'm only 40 feet from where I started, right? My stomach is now on red alert. It is like screaming, right? But I couldn't move. And I'm sweating because, it's the jungle, right? I'm 320 pounds. I know how to sweat. The jungle is a big assistant in getting me going, right? So I'm pure sweat. And so finally I've got this rail. I can see my room. All of a sudden I go, my ass let go. I shit myself right where I was. I am on the rail. And look, I couldn't move my legs. And I'm thinking this is my nightmare. I've never done this. I don't even think I shit my pants when I was a 1-year-old. I just didn't do that stuff, right?
I didn't even shit in diapers.
No, I was born on a toilet.
I would crawl to the toilet before I could walk.
Exactly. You never saw me with shit on me, not even in my diaper, right? So now I'm on this fence, and I'm pulling myself along, and I couldn't kind of get the rail, so I had to reach under and get the vertical part of the rail and pull myself along those. I'm inchworming myself. And meanwhile, I got shit all over my pants and in my leg, right? But I can feel that it's stuck behind my knee, so I kept my leg pulled up tight to keep it from getting out. And so I'm trying to move along, and here comes one of the guys, and I didn't know anybody, right? I just got there. He walks by and he looks down and he goes, dude, you okay? I said, oh, yeah, no problem, man. I got it. Yeah. Just kind of hanging out on the rail here.
I'm fucking good here, bro.
Yeah, I'm good. Just leave me alone. I'm just hanging out on the rail, Me, the big dumbass, right? No control. So finally, I see the corner, and my room is like 15 feet away. So, oh, my God, there's the door. I got it. So, but my legs didn't work. So what I did is I grabbed the corner post right at the 90-degree turn, and I threw my hip, because I knew my leg had to go with my hip, right? So I threw my hip and swing my leg around so I can make the turn while I'm holding onto the pole. So when I dropped my leg and threw it, all the shit came out of my pants, across the floor, and up the wall. This is in the walkway. And I'm dying because the people in the room are about ready to be done, right? And they go to their rooms because that's what you do after the ceremony, And so I'm on the rail, shitting everywhere, and here comes everybody, right? So I finally inch myself along to the room. I get in the doorway, and I can see there was a little light on, so I could see in the room, but I'm thinking, okay, how do I get to the bathroom? Because I honestly couldn't walk. And so I let go, and I just started throwing my legs as far as I could. And halfway in there, I shit again, right? And I'm trying to get my pants down. The stall is about as wide as my ass, these bathrooms, right? So I turn around, I'm getting my arms didn't work, so I couldn't get my pants down. So as I'm getting my pants down, they're halfway, they're around my knees, right? And so I hold the walls so I don't break the toilet, because I've done that before. So I'm easing myself back, and there I go again. I shit again. I shit across the top of the seat, and it's a small toilet. My balls were in my shit. I'm sitting here with my pants around my ankles, and I'm looking down at my pants. They're all shit on. I got shit everywhere. And my wife is coming. The one person I would shoot myself before I'd ever do this and get caught in it, right? So here I'm in this fecal mess. I push my pants off my ankles. I shove them through the shit into the corner, and I can't get up. Okay, so my wife shows up. I pull myself up using the door jamb, and I said to Kathy walks in. First thing I said is, I'm sorry. Don't go in that room. I will clean it. Please don't go in there. I'm sorry. Because she thought I threw up. Yeah. Right? Because you're not supposed to turn lights on, right?
Sure.
So anyway, I'm headed for the shower. I said, sweetheart, I got to take a shower. I said, where's the shower? She goes, Steve, it's right around the corner. Right around the corner. Just go out there, and it's right around there. I said, okay. And she says to me, but be careful when you go out in the hallway, because I think somebody vomited in the hallway. What I didn't know is my wife walked through my shit coming back to the room. She just didn't have a light to see what it was. As soon as I turned the corner out the door. So anyway, I have to traipse through my own crap to get to the shower, right? Now I'm in the shower. It's really close there. I'm standing in the shower. I got all my clothes off, and I just let the water run. 30 minutes later, Kathy comes walking in. She opens up the door. She goes, Steve, what are you doing? And you know me. You can't tell me what to do, like if I'm drunk.
Yeah.
I said, I'm fine. I'm cool. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so and Kathy knows. She goes, okay, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So she leaves. And so finally I get all rinsed off, and I just have a towel with me. So I wrap the towel around me. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to get to my room. I got to clean that shit, and I got to go to bed. So I come out of the shower, and I turn, but I missed my turn to the room. I didn't see it. So I went too far, right? I end up back in the ceremonial room, right? And there was some other weird guy. You know, every class has kind of a creepy, kind of an attention whore kind of a person. Yeah. Well, the guy stayed in there, right? But it's pitch black. And I was looking, I find myself in the ceremonial room again, and I turned around, and I hit the post with my crazy bone, and I dropped my towel because it shocked my arm, right? So now I'm standing in the middle, I'm standing there naked in the middle of the ceremonial room, right? And so I couldn't get out of the room because I couldn't find the door. So then I sat down in somebody's nicely prepared chair. They put their own stuff on it, made it really cool. But I had to sit down. I was about to fall. So I sit down in somebody else's chair, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, this is horrible. This is horrible. How do I get out of here? So then I lean back. I shit again in this guy's chair. So, again. And I'm like mortified. Honestly, if I'd have had a gun, I would have smoked myself for sure. This is horrible. I had no control of my body, no control of my mind. My wife had witnessed me doing the fecally terrible disaster of the century. And she is now in my room trying to clean my shit. You know, being a helpful wife, right? So anyway, it took me another 45 minutes to get to the room. I was walking naked. This one guy from Nigeria, his name is Dio. Dio goes by and he goes, hey, you okay? Yeah, no problem, man. Cool, you know, I'm fine. Don't help me. I'm wandering aimlessly, not wandering. I'm hugging the poles again. Now, you can get a picture of the 320-pound ass, this big old beef on, I'm straddling a pole. I'm probably smelling fairly nasty. Yeah. Fortunately, it was dark, so they couldn't witness any of this. So I finally end up back in my room. I go inside. My incredible wife did the nasty deed of cleaning up after me, and she was dry heaving, right? Because, look, it's bad enough you clean your own. You can live through that. Somebody else's that's probably going to kill you, right? So anyway, I just told her, I said, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I've got to get to the bed. I said, throw me some underwear, because I couldn't get to my clothes. So she finds some boxers. I put them on my ankles, but I got them tied up around my toes, and I couldn't get them on because I couldn't move anything. And then I had a mosquito net put over my bed because I hate mosquitoes and they love me, right? Sure. So I start to go into the bed, and I tried to move it, but my arms didn't work, so I fell into the mosquito net. So now I'm entangled like this big fish in a fish net in my mosquito net, and my underwear tied up around my ankles. So finally I'm like, fuck it. This is where I'm sleeping. This is it. I'm on the bed. This is good enough for me. So then Kathy turns the light out and she says, Steve, where's the bed? See, what I forgot about is my wife's messed up too. She's on her own thing and trying to deal with my stuff at the same time. And I said, hang on, let me help you. I sat up and I said, oh, fuck, I can't help you. I'm sorry. So anyway, she found her way to the bed.
Yeah.
That was around 1. I laid in bed, mortified at what I had done. About 5:30, I was able to crawl out of bed, still not as bad, but still almost like fall down drunk now. But I was able to. Then I was out there on my hands and knees naked because I couldn't get my underwear. They're still wrapped around my ankles, cleaning my own crap and stuffing it in a plastic bag because I just couldn't live with the thought that somebody would walk by my stuff or walk through it. So I did clean it and had a shower again, and then got back in bed. It was horrible, honestly horrible.
So I had emailed Don Howard the day after that, and I said, Don Howard, how's everything going? You know, how's my mother? How's Steve? And he just replies, well, your mother's doing great, and Steve had some deep work, and he's on the path.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That's all he had to say about that. So when you came back and told that story for us, holy shit, that puts you right in. You know, ayahuasca is famous for making you confront your deepest fears, one way or another. It's going to push you to the point. It'll get to that thing at the very end of the line that you're most afraid of. And make you do it. And it can happen in real life. It can happen in vision. However it makes it happen. And it fucking sure lived up to its reputation there.
I'm telling you, I didn't understand that I didn't remember those dreams, those nightmares I had as a kid until about a day and a half later by talking to the other people. Then it dawned on me because I didn't understand how to trace things back. What did it all mean? I've never done that because I don't live life in the rearview mirror. I never look back. I press ahead. That's where I've always been. And so once and look, being at this place, as you know, one thing you're going to learn is how to relax, read, hang out in the hammock, you know, and think of life and get to a point of, because I'm always go, go, go. Well, there's nothing to do there. You don't go to the show. There's no TV. There's nothing to do. So you learn how to slow down. I'm a very driven person. There's nothing to drive for in the Amazon. And then I had to learn I had to understand the jungle, the plants, and really start to get into that. Then it all made sense. What I saw is 16 people drank the same thing in the same ceremony and had 16 dramatically different experiences, and it had to do with their life and what they needed. And what I come to understand is Mother Ayahuasca, because with the earth, there's always the female, that goes with it, the spirit that goes with it. Mother Ayahuasca is going to give you exactly what you need. It's not a truth serum. You're not going to go there and say to somebody, oh, gee, forgive me because I fucked around on you, 4 years ago. This is not what any of this is about.
Transcends those stories.
It's so far beyond that. It's so lightweight to all. This is really getting to the fundamental issue of you, and you will find an answer, and it is going to be good for you. It's painful, but it's good for you.
So what are some of the things that, you've had some, you had some other experiences there too, a couple that I'll try and get you to tell a little bit about, but what is it about that experience that you've been able to bring back, because some people would be like, that sounds horrible. Why would I ever do that? But the people who go through it know the deep value that comes from it.
Well, you know what I learned, and everybody kept saying while you're there, oh, you'll be profoundly changed forever. I'm thinking like, yeah, okay, that's bullshit. I mean, because how do you change? I mean, really, how do you experience something in a series of days and have dramatic changes? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's absolutely true. I've spent most of my adult life controlling everything. I controlled everything as a kid because of my family issues. And I don't mean to impugn my family. Great family, kind of blue collars, and you heard that story. But I've controlled everything all of my life, even in business, everything I've done. I'm a workaholic. But what I found, that I was doing is I was controlling people that didn't need to be controlled. I didn't really control anybody. All I did was stop people from being creative and doing what I hired them to do. Because I got so controlling that, and you know this, you've been around me long enough. Orlando knows this. People have been around me. I control. Well, you have to control as a cop. You have to control circumstances. I just never left that mentality behind. And so I've understood that I don't control anything. Nothing. I couldn't even control my bowels, right? I couldn't control my legs, and my thoughts. Nothing was controlled. And I really always thought I'm a badass. You know, pit me against most guys. If you try to fight me, I'm probably going to win most cases, right? What I found is there are no tough guys. There's always somebody tougher. And what is the need to be so fucking tough in life? It was my own thing, my own insecurities that were bringing me to believe that I had to be this impenetrable, really big, powerful badass. It was a facade that I was trying to show others because I didn't even know if I was there.
Yeah. It's the strength of invulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, toughness is protecting something
Right.
because it's vulnerable.
Sure.
Well, when you're no longer tough, but just strong and feeling invulnerable because there's nothing you're protecting,
Yeah.
that's a different type of strength.
Yeah. Well, gaining the strength to know that you don't need to be strong. You don't need to give this facade of this impenetrable badass. You don't need to control people. You need to learn how to give people the freedom to do what they do. You know, it's kind of like being on a stagecoach. I'm not the horses. I'm not holding the reins. Maybe I'm riding shotgun as a company owner. All I have to do is point out, go here, go there, when I see things going wrong. And I don't think it's a coincidence that while I was gone, our sales increased by 25%.
Yeah.
Did I leave my people alone? Did I let them work? Yeah, I probably did. So believe me, I don't control my company now. I do my job, and people are happier than hell. You know, I mean, it's more amazing for me just to give up, and it's not giving up in the sense of losing. Give up what I don't need to even have.
Yeah.
I don't need to control everything. That just kills you. It just makes you old, and then you die pissed off. You know, and what you don't want to do is die, and people are happy that you're dead. You know, yeah, they cry. You're dead. You're all those things, but you know, you get over it. What I've always hated in life is, you know, somebody dies, you bury him, a couple weeks later, nobody's crying anymore, you move on. That's kind of fucked, right? So why don't you make people happy while you're alive? And it doesn't mean this is for old people, because I'm not old. I got another 30 years in me. But I just wish I'd have learned this lesson 30 years ago. How would it affected me now? Dramatically. You know, the people that were there, I was the old guy there, right? There was a guy there 27 years old. It helped him dramatically. I wish I could have done it at 27. It's a phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
Some people didn't get it because they resisted it. They really didn't let go. They're going to have to go back again.
Yep.
They are changed positively, but they're going to have to go back.
You either learn the lessons in the work, or life forces you to learn the lessons, you know, outside. And so one way or another, you know, you're going to learn, or you're going to, you know, die and have to come back and learn it again in another way.
Yeah, because the ass whippings of life, I don't know how many of them people want, but you'll get ass whippings all your life long, and oftentimes they're self-inflicted.
Yeah. So you'll be asked to meet the challenge, and you either go out and seek those challenges by doing something like ayahuasca and say, all right, bring it, or it's just going to happen to you in real life, which is going to force you to do it. One way or another, there's no avoiding the ass whooping.
Yeah, you know, I wish that there's a lot of people that, you know, we hear about ayahuasca, but there's a lot of, it's been commercialized in many places and stuff, and it's not the right experience. And I don't know, I wish Don Howard was 40 years younger, and so does he.
Yeah.
And I wish that more people could go at one time, because a lot of people, everybody I know needs to go.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's such a great experience. Everyone I know should go,
Yeah.
and everyone they know should go. So it's a great opportunity. Would I do it again? All day long.
Yeah.
The day before I went, did I want to go? No. The day that I was crawling down the stairs and holding on to the guardrails and shitting everywhere, did I want to be there? No. I thought it was the biggest mistake of my life.
The greatest treasures come very hard fought and hard won.
I've never learned a lesson and enjoyed the process.
Yeah.
Honestly, the things that meant the most to me, they were never fun, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had one story, I think, from the Wachuma, because you stayed for the Wachuma. One story about the jaguars, the vision of the jaguars, I think was really awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. You know, there was a tapestry that hangs up above the ceremonial altar, and it's of a jaguar's face. It's very large, and then wrapped around its face is the anaconda, and the anaconda's head comes back, and it parallels the head of the panther, or the jaguar. And so it's one head over the other, both eyes looking at you. Then the snake's body comes down. It's actually woven through the jaws of the jaguar. It's really kind of a cool look. But we were doing the Wachuma ceremony, and you stand around in a circle, and you stand around for long periods of time. And so I started looking at that. A lot of people were just fixating on things that were on the table. I mean, there were skulls on there. There were jaguar skulls. There's all kinds of things.
Sure.
It's not a creepy thing, but it's really a cool layout that they have to inspire thought in people, you know. And so I kept looking at the tapestry. I couldn't look at the table because I was drawn to the tapestry and looking into the eyes of the jaguar and the anaconda. So suddenly I felt like when somebody slides their arm over your shoulder, like when you're trying to date a girl and you sneak the arm over.
Yeah.
So I feel this thing on my shoulder, and I look, and it's a snake going across my shoulder. And it's a long one because it was moving around to the next person. Kathy, my wife, was next to me. And I looked back, and it didn't startle me, but the snake was pretty comfortable going across our shoulders. And then I felt the side of my leg, like when a cat or a pet, your dog rubs on you. I looked down, and it was a jaguar rubbing my leg. And I looked down and I thought, wow, that is really crazy. And so then I was looking at the tapestry, looking down, and then the jaguar jumped up on my shoulders. And it, you know, you can feel its claws, but it wasn't locking into you. And it just sat on my shoulders, kind of draped around my shoulders, just kind of viewing what we were doing, like part of the ceremony, but really relaxed. And then I kept watching the tapestry, and it's kind of like I wasn't in this state that I couldn't get out of, but I wouldn't let my mind interfere with this. I had to let what was happening
happen, yeah.
Because I was fully aware of everything in the room. But then I looked down, and there's like 5 jaguars. They're moving around everybody, going in and out of their legs, and the snake was pretty active on people. They were part of this deal. And so finally my mind changes to I was in this jungle setting, which I was actually in, and I'm laying down, and I'm lying down with the jaguars. There's 5 or 6 of them, and it was like late at night, and it's where you would imagine everybody goes to sleep. All the jaguars go to sleep together in the jungle, and I was with them, and I was just lying there. And there was a big anaconda fairly close to, just kind of looking around. And one of the jaguars was on my leg, and I could tell the jaguars were really hungry, and I could sense their hunger, and they hadn't caught anything in days, apparently. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you know, they should eat me, because I know if they eat me, I'll live through them anyway. It was really a crazy thought. And so no sooner did I have the thought and really kind of relax or succumb to the thought than one of them started licking my leg. And it bit into my leg, and I was totally cool with them eating me. So as one started to eat my calf, another one came up and started to eat my thigh. And one was on my back, and they just started eating me. I didn't feel the pain, but I could see what they were doing. I was completely fine with it. And then I actually started breathing much deeper, in which it was, when I was looking at the tapestry, I was breathing really deep, because I wanted to oxygenate my blood. If they're going to eat me, I want them to have really good oxygen in the blood, you know. And so they continued to eat me, and this whole thing was, I'm about 15 minutes into this, standing there. And so suddenly I didn't see myself die, but the anaconda comes over, and it starts to go over my head. You know, snakes, when they swallow you whole, it started to move over my head, but I could actually see through its skin as it was going over me. And no sooner did it get over my head and start over my chest, that I was no longer me in that body. I was actually seeing through all of the jaguars. And so I was in all of them. As like my DNA, or like my spirit or something had gone into all these animals, because I could see through all of their eyes. And it was the coolest sensation, because it never bothered me. Yeah. And see, I've always had a thing with animals, and like with dogs and stuff like that. I don't like them. I don't hate them. I'm good with animals. I'm not an abuser in any way. You know, I've had to shoot dogs, like on police calls and stuff, because if they're vicious and try to get people. But I don't trust them, because from my childhood, I had some bad experiences as a little kid with dogs getting bit and stuff like that. And so I've always had kind of a fear of it, and maybe something in that, because this experience was totally cool, and I didn't experience anything but submission and being part of the jungle and part of the animals. It was the coolest thing I've ever done.
You know, that's maybe some part of it on your personal side, but then you look back to 3,500 years ago in Shubin, and every one of their sacred sculptures is a human turning into a jaguar while taking Wachuma. So here, 3,500 years later, here you are down in the hut. No history of that. You don't know any of that. And there you are, becoming a jaguar with this same medicine, followed by one of the last medicine keepers on the planet, Don Howard, doing the same thing that these people were 3,500 years ago, and becoming a jaguar by literally allowing them to take your flesh into their body and seeing through their eyes.
Yeah, and I've never studied this. I don't know Wachuma from ayahuasca, from any of these things, Shubin. I don't, and it's always been crazy to me thinking when the Mayans or the Aztecs that would do all these sacrifices, but I understood the mentality they would get into sacrifice themselves and be perfectly happy to walk up there and lie down and be sacrificed for what they believed in. While I certainly wouldn't do that, I now understand the commitment that they had for what they wanted to do. The interesting part of that is understanding that we're all part of the earth. Our DNA is in everything. Which was a great revelation for me, because I don't believe that I'm going to go to some really cool place called heaven, and you don't have to work, and you got these cool wings, and you fly around everywhere, and you never have to eat, and you're always slim and look good, and you always get laid. That's craziness to me, But I really understood the value of the earth and the plants and all that. It was an amazing experience, but it was work. It was not a vacation. It was work.
It's all work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
So you don't necessarily have that afterlife belief system, but then you do the Vilca, and you went to a place where, in your words, when you told the story last time, you went to the place where the dead people go.
Yeah. The Vilca you take on the last night, and it's with the Wachuma. And even on the Wachuma, there was some crazy experiences I had with my wife, and it was really wonderful. But the Vilca itself, when you snort it through these old 3,500-year-old bones, and so when you snort it, you go right to your room and you lie down. And I instantly went into this full-on crazy sweat. My body temperature seemed like it felt like it was 110, but I poured sweat. But I laid down, and I just let my mind start doing whatever it does. And by now, you can imagine, I don't resist anything at this point. I mean, I'm into all of it. And so I was ascending up but I was still underground as far as what I could tell. I was ascending up this corridor that must have been like 100 feet across. And everything was lined with like tree roots and water, because we're underground and it's leaking into it. And as I was ascending, there was a group of people in a cutout on the side of this tunnel, and it was 4 black men and 2 black women. And as soon as I saw them, I was a little startled, and I slowed down my ascension, and they looked down and they said, no, you're home. Your family's here, come on home. And then I relaxed and I continued to ascend. And I got to this place where all the dead people lived. And it was kind of like the old ant farms when I was a kid, Everything was colonized underneath, and they lived on what was in the earth, which the oils or the kerosenes, they had lanterns and stuff. And so I was walking around, and I was looking for my mom, and I found her hiding behind a tree, and I couldn't get her to come out. So I sat down, and so she could see that it was okay to sit down. She finally came out, and she wouldn't look at me and sat next to me, and I put my arm around her, and it was really cool. But the sense I got from that was the life that I knew her from when I was a kid. She wasn't proud of the way she was as a mother. And so I have a lot of work to do to kind of free her up so she can continue in the life that she needs to live down there. It's craziest stuff. You know me. Am I religious? Do I believe stuff? No.
No, you just tell what you see.
But the experience was real, and it's all true. It's craziness. Can't be experienced. You don't get it until you do it. And like I said, it's not a vacation. It's work.
No, and that's what all the shaman people say. They don't tell you about things. Religion tries to tell you this is the way things are. You should believe me and pay me your 10% and whatever the religions build into that. Shamanism and true spirituality just says, here you go, see for yourself.
Yeah.
And regardless, just like you turning into the jaguars and you going to these places, everybody ends up on the same spot.
Yeah.
And that's how you know that it's truth.
Yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, back when I didn't study anything, I don't know the terminologies, I don't know a shaman from a sheep shearer, I don't know any of this stuff. But for me to experience the same things that have been experienced for hundreds or thousands of years, I thought was crazy. Even, when you mentioned the influence of the jaguar in all of this, I don't know any of that stuff, but it all happened to me.
Yeah.
It was nuts. It was honestly, anybody, if you can do it, but make sure you do it at the right place with the right people, because it's critical that it's ceremonial, that you let down, that you give yourself to it. But it's an amazing time.
Well, Steve, this is one of not only the best podcasts I've ever done, but one of the favorite moments in my life. And I'm just fucking honored.
It's good stuff.
Honored that we've got to share so much of our life together, and looking forward more than ever to the life that we'll have together from here on out.
It's gonna be great forever.
It will be.
Yep.
I love you, man.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I love you, and you know that.
Yeah, I love you too.
Thanks.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Right. Let's go cry together and have a beer. That's it.